broadcast is a very special guest, Mr. Glen Grant, former advisor to the Defense Minister of Ukraine. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us on Newsx and speaking to us. At the very outset, we know that Operation Spiderweb took 18 months of meticulous planning to execute. What was the objective of this operation?
Well, I think, judging by the results, the objective actually is probably quite clear, which is to destroy the maximum amount of Russian aircraft and associated equipment as possible. But the second objective, which is probably the more important one, is to show that the world that Ukraine is not losing. Because if you look recently, America has shown an attitude that it's not worth supporting Ukraine because they're losing. I have to say, India has been exactly the same. And even guests on this program have actually said that Ukraine should effectively give in to Russia. And by this action, Ukraine is showing very clearly that they're not losing and they're not intending to lose either.
All right, so a quick follow-up to that. President Zelenskyy has stated that even before the operation, Ukraine had intelligence that Russia was preparing another massive strike. Do you believe now that this particular strike, this drone strike that we've just seen take place yesterday, will this be effective in deterring further Russian strikes against Kiev?
No, not at all. I think it'll be the reverse. I think Russia will be looking to actually to use even more strikes. I mean, Russia feels it's winning on the front line, and therefore it's going to keep battering away at the front line and keep attacking as much as it can with all the tools that it can until it gets a result. Because if it doesn't get a result, Putin's out.
So how do you think they will escalate this in your perspective?
Well, I don't think that they'll try nuclear, because I think that's still too much for them, because the world would completely come down on Russia if it did. But I think that they will look to try and terrorize either Kiev or one of the other cities, or maybe try to actually to destroy the ones that they're fighting for at the moment closely, Sumy or Kharkiv. So I see a lot of nasty stuff going to happen in the next week or two.
And how do you think this will impact the talks that are set to take place in Istanbul?
That's interesting. I mean, there was never any peace talks. Let's be clear about that. Russia and Ukraine are so far apart on their demands. I mean, Ukraine is still fighting for its sovereignty to actually survive as a country. Russia wants to destroy it. It wants genocide of Ukrainians. And those two things are just so far apart that there can be no more than side issues dealt with, such as release of prisoners or maybe release of some children that the Russians have kidnapped.
U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has now doubled down on Donald Trump's call for peace. How do you view this?
Well, I think it's... Well, Donald Trump can shout for peace all he likes, but unless he actually does something, which he hasn't done at the moment, except try to bully Zelenskyy, there will be no peace. Russia is going to keep going. It's going to keep going. And therefore, if America wants peace, America is going to have to help stop Russia. Otherwise, peace is not going to come.
I have a follow-up question to this. Marco Rubio has had a telephonic conversation with Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov. The US readout has stated that he emphasized upon holding direct talks. Do you think Kremlin will follow through?
I don't think so. I mean, I think that what they're doing is time wasting. And you have to remember that Lavrov is the liar in chief. So anything that Lavrov says to Rubio, you can pretty much guess that it's a lie. Why would they have direct talks except to try and actually threaten Ukraine to give in? Because that's the only thing they can do at the moment. Because all their attacks is not having the effect that they want.
And what of Trump, because last time when Russia had attacked Kiev, he took quite a while to respond. And now, of course, he's silent as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's got a problem. He's got a problem because he supports Russia, not Ukraine. That's quite clear from every action, and he has done. He supported Russia during his last presidency. So there's nothing new happening from Trump at the moment. And what he's trying to do is he's trying to find words or expressions that don't annoy his friend Putin, but that show that he fully understands the whole game. He's between a rock and a hard place at the moment because you can't claim values and then go against them.
And how do you think the Trump administration is viewing this in your experience in the years that you've served as an advisor to the defense minister of Ukraine? In your perspective, how do you think this operation that was meticulously planned by the Ukrainians over the last year and a half, how do you think US would view this?
Well, I mean, there are two things. The first one is that they weren't told about this in advance, and that should make them worried because it shows that there's no longer any trust between Ukraine and the US. And I can quite understand that, judging by the US actions recently. The second thing is that, my goodness, it should really, really make them think about their defense budget and defense spending. Because if a country can do this, to Russia, another country can do it to the US as well. So what they're doing, their game of how they think about their army needs and security and defense needs to take a dramatic change. And I'm pretty sure that there's some sharp discussions going on in the Pentagon today.
Indeed, and as per reports that are coming in, the air bases that were struck was as close as 640 miles to those that were as far as 3,454 miles from Kiev. Russia has called this a terrorist attack. How would you respond to them?
Oh, well, Russia has attacked a country. Russia invaded Ukraine. Therefore, Ukraine has every right to smash Russia as hard as it can, as often as it can, and wherever it can. So Russia's not got a leg to stand on morally. And I'm sure that they understand that today.
All right, sir. With that, I would like to thank you for taking out time, speaking to us